we were thinking that we met under much more fortunate circumstances than the two gentlemen that have already spoken. We met in 2001, and it was, in retrospect, a very hopeful period, I think. It was a period that was already seeming to lead up to some sort of a solution to the Cyprus problem, and I had in my family, I had teachers who were very supportive. A lot of the people who actually introduced me to the programs that led to me meeting Suleiman are here today. So it felt like I was part of a movement, this huge movement that was leading towards peace at the time. I think that Suleiman was saying that in the north, it was even more pronounced when back in 2001, 2, 3, 4.
Yeah, being teenager, I think in early 2000s in North, it was a different experience going through all this uprising and movement, and at that time going to Pila, meeting people, teenagers like Loisos, and like talking about hours about everything.
And I'm sure all these people remember it was every weekend go to drive to Pila, spend the day in Bergamos Park.
And not even driving, just hitchhiking.
Yeah.
Somebody take us because there was no cars. We didn't have a license. And yeah, so being teenager at that time, being very hopeful and trying to change things. And then suddenly, all of a sudden, the borders are open, so you can travel, and there is referendum, and there is like bam, and something happens there. So it's for some years, very long years. It's like
I guess there was a bit of again in retrospect, a bit of naivety, thinking that it was going to be so easy. I feel like, because I was 15 or 16, it just seemed like, oh, it's a breeze. It's going to happen for sure. Even though I could see the signs, like in school, and I think you guys are still feeling it, let's say at the English school, there were signs that things wouldn't go so well in the end. There was a lot of pushback, even then, and because I was so young, I think I didn't realize it. And that's why it hurt so much when the outcome was not what I thought was natural and expected, you know. And you were saying, I mean,
and it brings us to a process. So I think where we are now and who we are now, actually that period is very crucial in our lives. So how we continue, it was not liking each other anymore. We are good friends and we will always be good friends. But we had this time to self-reflect and read more and evaluate more and try to find alternatives as well to come up with some new ideas, seeing that how we can do this. So I think that gave us this time, and now we are again here and trying to do things with more alternatives, let's say.
when in 2004, immediately after the referendum, I had to go to the army. So it felt like being locked up for 2 years, unable to react to what was going on. A lot of my friends had stopped calling. People that I saw every weekend, or maybe even twice or 3 times a week, completely disappeared from my life, and then I disappeared from theirs because I had obligations. And then leaving Cyprus to go study, it felt like a long period of isolation, time to reflect on what went wrong and why, and what was my part in this, let's say, failure. So I think it was a very humbling experience in the sense that it was a time to sort of reflect. And it sounds really bleak. I know I'm sitting here saying it's all pretty bad, but I guess the takeaway message is Suleiman and I are still here. And in the audience are the people who introduced us to each other, and everyone has affirmed their sort of commitment to the cause.